Perfect. So it works. So I know that you are all a little bit tired already. That you're kind of ready for a lunch. Just kind of this will be the last presentation that we'll have today in terms of the theoretical part that we have in the morning. And this is kind of why I also prepared like the light version, so kind of, you know, in the morning when you're all fresh, kind of more difficult, more technical. Now a bit more about kind of real use cases in terms of from different angle, how and why actually some customers decided to use edge services. Not like one specific, but usually it's a combination of different services. And the first one, when I was kind of thinking like, okay, which customer to choose from our pool, and I was like, okay, you know what, let's actually use something from the region and use some kind of names that are well known, but within like a niche users. And like one of these is actually window.com. So if you're from the region or kind of or you're flying or either kind of you're windsurfing or even if you're a weather enthusiast, then you will actually know this application or company. They initially started actually just like a hobby project. And they started just kind of because the owner, he really liked windsurfing and he wanted kind of to have some good overview. But in the end, the project actually grew significantly. Now it's like 25 people within the company, but the coverage is actually global. And they kind of, it's not only about the visual part, but they really kind of collect the data worldwide, and then kind of they have the algorithms to predict the weather forecast, and it's actually used even by different kind of agencies when they are planning the disaster that's coming. For example, the hurricane that happened in Florida. Kind of also you can actually even see in the American TVs that they're actually using window.com for that. But with this kind of particular customer, I decided actually to choose them because they are not using AWS cloud for everything. It's actually kind of the opposite. So the majority of the workloads actually happening is actually in Google Cloud and in different kind of provider. And this again is kind of really not one size fits all. And in this particular customer, when they're actually considering or deciding kind of which cloud actually to use, they came to the conclusion that actually GCP would be better for them. And it comes kind of from the knowledge that they had internally, from the people that they had at kind of at that particular stage. You know, they were not aware that AWS is able to offer amazing offering for the Kubernetes as well, and they can decide to go there. But when they were actually kind of looking into the edge service provider, back then it was mainly like CDN, because they have really global use everywhere, they discovered that AWS edge offering is kind of really superior to everything else. And what we actually kind of implemented for them with kind of the complete set. So basically now, if you can go to win.com, the first stage that you actually enter is always on AWS. And only after that, kind of you're directed based on kind of your requests to Google Cloud. And in this kind of particular case, the importance is that at first they are serving mainly static traffic, but then also they have some application logic that is actually running also at the edge, kind of to decide which customer to go where. Additionally, they also need kind of some additional security because they don't want to put everything into the origin. So they kind of really lower also the cost on the origin because they don't need to have such a big environment there. And when they kind of were thinking, okay, kind of this was kind of basically four requirements from the customer, what they really need to have. And we're going to review each of them. And the performance is usually the most important when you actually come to the CDN, because you really need or you want to deliver your data as fast as possible to the end user. And we actually, earlier, Istvan showed the global infrastructure, and a lot of people actually, they don't realize how massive actually the edge side of AWS is, in kind of, they have their own backbone network, the service and the capacity that they have. And when we were reviewing this, they was like, yeah, but like every CDN provider said that they are actually the best. And because kind of we as a partner, we are kind of specializing actually in the edge services, and we are using actually different tools that help us kind of to show customers and to predict basically what they can expect and what they can rely in terms of different CDN providers. And one of the tools that we actually use, okay, I hope that I will be able to put it here, is actually this one. It's PrefOps. It's kind of third-party tool, so this is not kind of related to AWS in any way. And we are kind of using this to see the performance of that particular CDN in each location, and kind of also either kind of give feedback to AWS or kind of try to work actually with some optimization on AWS part if possible and the application part. And here we can actually see like really nice comparison. So these are usually kind of CDNs that you see when we come to the customer, they are using this or they're considering one of those CDN. And this was actually kind of also the case for this particular customer. And if you look actually at the performance, this is actually worldwide performance. And we can actually see that CloudFront is the best example. And we can actually see that there's obviously some changing because the incident happening on the internet, but how well optimized it is compared to other CDN providers. And then we say, okay, this kind of makes sense for the global, but our customers like, you know what, I'm actually serving main data in Europe and North America, but for us it's very important Asia because we want to expand there. So we can actually just go and select Asia and kind of to see the performance in the particular region. Okay, so here we can see that one of the CDN providers has kind of some difficulties, and let's actually remove it from there to get we have a better overview. And here, and then again we can see that even if you specify like a particular region that is usually difficult for other CDN providers, that the CloudFront is actually the leader. So when we actually work with the customers, we will try to evaluate, okay, what is the requirement and how we can actually satisfy that requirement. And this tool is amazing because kind of it shows you it has kind of different availability, also like the cache ratio and everything. We don't have enough time kind of to go through and everything that we have there, but it's just kind of for you to give you sort of a hint, you know, what's possible and why we can actually confidently say that the CloudFront is leader. Kind of, we don't kind of, we will say even the best, but kind of at least that they are the leader in this industry of CDN or edge services. If you go back to the presentation. So like this is the performance. The feature set, I think that it's not kind of, I don't need to dive more deep because we saw in terms of like security was possible in terms of configuration and other components that we have there. But one actually very common objection that we have is actually the costs. And for them, because they obviously they requested offer from multiple vendors, and usually when I talk to people, the first thing when we propose CloudFront, they say, oh, it's expensive. And this is partially true, but on the other hand, there are kind of multiple ways how to optimize the costs, including private pricing, including the optimization that you can actually have. And in the end, we were actually the lowest in terms of cost as well compared to other competing CDN providers. And last but not least, actually the easy onboarding, because they were already having that environment and they needed kind of to secure and improve the performance in a short period of time. And because there was kind of, there was no knowledge about AWS back then, we actually implemented this for them. So kind of the onboarding for them was really easy. And additionally, because kind of we are reselling the platform for them, it was kind of free of charge as well. So that's kind of basically why this customer kind of decided to actually go for the edge if they are using the third-party provider. And as I mentioned, that with the edge services, you don't need to have your origin in AWS Cloud. Obviously, it's better because it's well integrated, and I will cover this actually on the second slide or second case study. But let's say kind of that you have some legacy systems, you're running already on-prem, and you're like, you know what, I don't feel like actually moving this everything to the cloud because multiple reasons. But you still can protect and improve the performance already right now by using actually just the edge services itself. Just kind of for me, because Adam asked who has experience with the CloudFront, I would have like a different question. Who is using some other CDN provider at the moment? Okay, good. Not many, but still. And maybe there will be kind of questions that I will ask during the discussion. I'm always like wondering, are are you actually considering CDN, when you are building the architecture or not? In our case, Adam mentioned the well-architected review, but it's part of the well-architected framework. And basically, when we are architecting, we always take into consideration also that custom-facing part, the edge part, because it really heavily influences the overall performance of the application or any other workload that you might have. The second one is actually from different completely story. So the first one is like really global web application, and this one is mainly EU, US, and it's actually focusing on the video. So it's heavy, let's say kind of traffic, which is kind of static, but basically it's a video, small files that kind of are being streamed to the end user. And what actually TargetVideo does, so they are a German-based company, but the majority of actually tech people that develop the platform are actually from Serbia. And when they were just kind of at the very beginning of this stage, they actually considered which kind of platform to use. And in the end, kind of they decided to go completely all to AWS. And this is actually not exactly their architecture, because they didn't want me to share the architecture. Let's say this is just like one of the components that AWS has as a pre-built solution for the video on demand. And this customer has like additional services around for the analytic. For example, they use the Redshift. Then they have some additional layers for how they actually work with the customer, how they actually put the advertisement into the video. And that's kind of another thing, that AWS is not just the CDN. That AWS is kind of way more that you can integrate together. And for them in the particular, very kind of interesting part where some of the video processing elements. So for example, Elemental. So AWS Element is, they have like different, they have media convert, they have, I don't even remember, it's like a lot of the media something always, but basically kind of it makes your life easier how you work with the videos, how kind of you process them, how you store them. And then also some of the transcribe. So basically you can automatically create the captions, or you can use the recognition to automatically recognize what's in the video and create the metadata of that. So this is actually what AWS offers for the video, and that was very kind of attractive to this particular customer. But when it actually comes to huge amount of video to have to stream, usually we have high cost associated with that. And in AWS, one of like the benefit why it's actually cost effective, because it's everything in one place. You don't have to move the data from one side to another. And this actually helps you to lower the cost associated with moving the data, a part of kind of obviously that this customer is optimized with the pricing. The integration part. So if they want to kind of deploy new feature, it's very easy for them to find the service from AWS that is well integrated with already existing architecture that they have. In terms of performance, obviously it's the same story as before. AWS is actually built kind of to work together. So the performance is kind of way higher. If they would need to store video in one place, then they would use another CDN provider, then they would actually process video somewhere else. So having everything in one place, it helps to the performance as well. And the last thing is the reliability. What does it mean? It means kind of that AWS kind of is investing a lot to really to make the environment kind of scalable and highly available to the customer. So this kind of particular customer, they haven't experienced any major kind of outage since they are working. And we are working actually with both of the customers for more than 6 years. And kind of this is something that I would like kind of to mention at the end, like a key takeaways, not only from my session, but also like for overall session that we actually heard, that customers are really happy with AWS, and kind of obviously with us as well, because kind of we implement AWS. And we are working together for more than 6 years with both the customers. You can imagine that if they wouldn't be happy or any concern, they would leave. Same actually, it comes when we speak about the scalability part, that they know they have a partner that allows them actually to grow, because all of these names are not be like super well known. The monthly traffic that they have is actually over 120 million users. And we speak about the global, so it's not like one particular country, like US for example. We speak about US, Canada, Asian countries, even Latin America, so worldwide, and they are able to serve this all from either from one place on AWS or actually by leveraging AWS Edge to improve the performance. The increase in terms of visitors. So when we started working with them, they were relatively small. We can say they're like startup stage. They were actually self-funded as well. And for the period that they actually working with them over the 6 years, they grew significantly. Yeah, I think it's like this 1,500% is even kind of lower number, but I just want kind of really to stay down to earth, just kind of not to overkill it. And the last but not least is the savings. So you can imagine as you're growing, your costs are growing as well. And internally, they also did the reviews, kind of, are we the cost effective as we are growing? Because they don't want to spend money just kind of like that. They want to reinvest this money into the growth that they have. And because kind of the continuous review over those 6 years, kind of compared to some other providers, or we compare it to the public pricing, we managed to save them like more than 8 million over those reviews in terms of cost that they have. Like obviously, at the very beginning, the number is small, but as you scale, that number goes up significantly. So that's it kind of from my side that I want to cover in terms of presentation itself. So now, what actually we can expect. So this was kind of really just the first part when we kind of wanted to introduce you to the AWS Edge and kind of security services that are available there. And the second will be the workshop, and you can actually try it hands-on and to see how actually AWS is working. Before that, we will have a lunch, but during the lunch, I will kind of approach you, but you can also approach me or Igor, in order to actually to understand how many people will stay for the second half of the day, because we need to make some preparations so that we know exact number of people that we can actually provision the environment, because kind of you will need that. So thank you very much for that. Just if you have any questions. No questions? Perfect. We can actually ask them during the lunch. And thank you very much for being here. It was kind of a pleasure, and hope that you will enjoy the rest of the day as well.